This is that famous photograph that I mentioned. This is really the group of people who first built quantum mechanics. Now, I mentioned three key experiments. The black body spectrum. This guy figured that out. This is Planck. The photoelectric effect. This guy, who I hope needs no introduction, this is Einstein, figured that out. This is the paper that won Einstein the Nobel Prize. And as far as the bright line spectra of atoms, it took a much longer time to figure out how all of that fit together. And it took a much larger group of people. But they all happen to be present in this photograph. There's this guy, and these two guys, and this guy. This photograph is famous because these guys worked out quantum mechanics. But that's not the only, these aren't the only famous people in this photograph. You know this lady as well. This is Marie Curie. This is Lorentz, which if you studied special relativity, you know Einstein used the Lorentz transformations. Pretty much everyone in this photograph is a name that you know. I went through and looked up who these people were. These were all of the names that I recognized, which doesn't mean that the people whose names I didn't recognize weren't also excellent scientists. For example, C.T.R. Wilson here, one of my personal favorites, inventor of the cloud chamber. This is the brain trust that gave birth to quantum mechanics, and it was quite a brain trust. You had some of the most brilliant minds of the century working on some of the most difficult problems of the century. And what's astonishing is they didn't really like what they found. They discovered explanations that made astonishingly accurate predictions, but throughout the history you keep seeing them disagreeing, like, no, that can't possibly be right. Not necessarily because the predictions were wrong or they thought there was a mistake somewhere, but because they just disliked the nature of what they were doing. They were upending their view of reality. Einstein, in particular, really disliked quantum mechanics to the day that he died, just because it was so counterintuitive.